If you read the title, you know why I kind of look like a pirate. This is going to be a review of Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. Backstory, just real quickly before we get into this. I was not a big reader as a child. I didn't really like reading. I really liked Magic Treehouse, and my mom would read The Boxcar Children in school. She was my first grade teacher. And I feel like maybe we read something else. I guess I had to read some of the Narnia series in school, but I just didn't really enjoy reading. Like, Magic Treehouse was the only thing that I read on my own. Now, I will say there were a few biographies that I enjoyed, but they were kind of rare also. Like, I just didn't like reading. Until I read Treasure Island. Actually, I probably read this copy. Let me hold up this one. I have multiple copies of Treasure Island, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I read Treasure Island. This was my dad's copy, and I loved it so much. In fact, I loved it so much that I raced through it. Like, I read it really quickly. Except for the last chapter. I refused to read the last chapter because I didn't want the book to end. And I've done that with a few books. I used to do that a lot. If I was having a really good time with the story, I wouldn't finish it because it was just sad for me to say goodbye to the characters. I guess even back then, I was much more of a character reader. Like, I read for the characters, not for the plot necessarily. I don't care what's happening. I don't care what's going on. I'm here for the characters, and I'm here to have a good time with them. So I didn't want that to end. Yeah, so I raced through it and then just didn't read the last chapter. But I read this a few times when I was growing up. Like, that was the first time. And then I read it a year or two later. And then I started reading other of Robert Louis Stevenson's books. So I think now I have read all of his major classics, plus like one or two less known or less well-known books of his. Yeah, I'm a really big Robert Louis Stevenson fan. He is my favorite author. Now, Richard Russo has kind of joined the ranks. Richard Russo, for his writing, probably tops Stevenson, but Stevenson just has a place in my heart and always will. Love Stevenson. He's what got me into reading. So that is why I have multiple copies. I have this copy of Treasure Island, which is, just an old hardback. The pages are starting to fall out. Like, it's just, it's illustrated though, so that's awesome. It says New York, Charles Scribner's Sons, 1915. So this book is over 100 years old. This book is so old, there's not even a traditional copyright page. This is the only page I could find that has any sort of like words or not words. It's the only page that has words in the book. The only page that I found that has a date or a publishing house or anything. It is illustrated. Is it illustrated anywhere else? I think that's the only illustration in the whole book. I think that's literally the only illustration, and yet it claims that it's illustrated. I mean, I guess technically they're not wrong. Not right either. Anyway, and it's got like the deckled edges, and like I said, pages are about to fall out. Like, it's old book. But yeah, so this is the first copy that I read, and it's probably the one that I read the second time also. Then somewhere around when I went to college, I picked up this copy, which is just Puffin Classic, little, not falling apart, not 100 years old. So I read this one, which, by the way, peep the mug. Skull and Crossbones, and it also says poison. I felt like this was perfect. So anyway, I also have a collected works of Stevenson, which is cloth bound like the first Treasure Island copy that I read. So I have that one as well. Actually, the cover of that is kind of pretty. Let me show you that. Yeah, so this is the collected works. Can you see? Don't focus on my face, focus on this. How do I get it? How do the makeup girlies do this? It's not gonna focus. Okay, well, anyway, we tried. But it's kind of pretty. So I have that one. And then I have this one, which was a project for school. I was more interested in the interior pages because that's what I would love to do. I would love to design books and particularly design the interior and do all of that formatting. Is it super tedious? Yes, I have done it twice now in like completion. I did this one, and then I did a copy of the creative writing department's anthology, basically. So I put together this book, and we had to also make the cover, and I'm not an illustrator, like, at all. I should have gone with something different for the cover. Like, I should have just done Treasure Island and done text. I love playing around with text. Absolutely love that. But I don't like doing illustrations and things, so I found a picture of a parrot, and this took the longest. I went through in, I guess probably Illustrator, because I don't use Photoshop, so I guess Illustrator, and I just went through and did all of that, copying, it's looking at my face again, but I just like copied the picture. It was a long process. It was crazy. But yeah, so that was kind of fun. But otherwise, the rest of this was just like, let's find, you know, a picture of a ship and turn it into some sort of clip art. And here, you know, let's do the treasure and whatever. So that was, I don't know. I didn't really care about that. Did the spine, did the back formatting also, had to write the blurb. So that was kind of fun. And I get to put, you know, cover design by Shannon Ardsma on here. If it'll, I don't know if it's ever going to focus, but I did that. And what I really love is that this was completely on accident because I didn't have this other book with me at school. But I think that these two look really nice together. So Catriona is one of Stevenson's lesser known works, and it's actually the sequel to Kidnapped. So like everybody's heard of Kidnapped, nobody has heard of Catriona. And my sister gifted this to me on my 15th birthday. Yeah, I don't know, I just feel like these two, actually, who did publish this? Because this is like this looks like somebody else's school project. Yeah, this looks like somebody else's school project. But I just love that they go together really nicely. So that's fun. That's very fun. Enough about the copies that I own and I don't know what they look like and whatever. Let's get into my actual review of Treasure Island, which basically is that it's a 5-star read, and it will always be a 5-star read. It's a classic, and there's a reason for that. It's really beautiful. Oh my goodness. I forget every time how much I do enjoy Stevenson's writing. And I have a friend who, she and I have a lot of arguments about this because she can't stand Robert Louis Stevenson's writing. She has only read Treasure Island, which she didn't finish, and she read it back before she even liked reading. She was young and didn't really like reading, and she read Treasure Island and hated it. She also has read Stevenson's like travel memoirs, which I've read a little bit of those. They're not the best. So I don't blame her for not liking those. There's not really anything super interesting about that. Just, you know, if you want to learn more about his life, I guess, but otherwise they're not really super special. But Treasure Island is good. And I guess we fight about it because her favorite author is Fitzgerald, and he writes such like very flowery prose. Everything about him is very 1920s, romantic, flowery, beautiful writing. And that's not what you get from Stevenson. Stevenson writes for his time. So Stevenson lived in the 1800s. So that's the time period that he was writing in. He was not writing in 1920s jazz age. He was not writing a book about the 1920s jazz age. He was writing a pirate story. And the prose fits it perfectly. Everything about it, it's pirate. And it's beautiful. I want to read a little section. And Stevenson also wrote poetry. So there's a poem in the beginning titled "To the Hesitating Purchaser." If sailor tales to sailor tunes, storm and adventure, heat and cold, if schooners, islands, and maroons, and buccaneers, and buried gold, and all the romance retold exactly in the ancient way, can please as me they pleased of old, the wiser youngsters of today. So be it, and fall on. If not, if studious youth no longer crave, his ancient appetites forgot, Kingston or Ballantyne the brave, or Cooper of the wood and wave, so be it also, and may I and all my pirates share the grave where these and their creations lie. And that's a beautiful way to start it. Like he starts with a poem. And then his dedication is also beautiful, which, if my memory serves, it was dedicated to his stepson. So it says, "To S.L.O., an American gentleman, in accordance with whose classic taste the following narrative has been designed, it is now, in return for numerous delightful hours, and with the kindest wishes, dedicated by his affectionate friend, the author." Which is just also so sweet. But anyway, it's really beautiful. There's one more quote that I want to give you to make my point, and I have to find that. And this was a quote that I just found so beautiful, and it's one of my favorites now, and I probably could just recite it, but I didn't want to get it wrong. So the quote is, Time goes so pleasant in your company. Which is just beautiful. Are you kidding me? I would never think to say it that way. And it's such a beautiful, not only a beautiful sentiment, but beautifully written. So, I don't know. I think Stevenson did a great job. And one of the complaints by my friend was that it's so slow, and his plots are so slow. And I agreed with her at one point because it had been a long time since I'd read Stevenson, and then I reread Treasure Island, and I take that back. It's not slow. It's very well done, and it's well paced, and it's not like, you know, action every paragraph, like a new thing happening, but it doesn't need to be either. I don't need that kind of entertainment. So I think it's very well paced and very well done. But as you may know from previous reviews, I am a character lover. And that is one of the things that I think Stevenson does best. And that's maybe why I love his book so much and why my friend, who shall remain unnamed, but she knows who she is. That might be why she doesn't like Stevenson as much, because I think she does read more for plot than she does for characters. And she definitely reads more for writing. The writing has to be top notch. And I think the plot has to catch her. So, you know, if she's not into pirate stories, it's not going to be her favorite book. And that's okay. But I still think it's a little too far to say that it's just bad and that Stevenson can't write, because he can. He can, and he has been proven again and again. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so let's talk about the characters in Treasure Island. They're so well done. They're really, really well done. You have Jim, of course, the youngster, which reading it this time, and with the little bit of knowledge I have about like ships and the crew, I think that Jim was really young. Like maybe 12. I guess that's kind of the vibe I got in the book, but honestly he could be a little bit younger. But he's not like a teenager, you know? Like I guess I used to think of him as like 14, 15 years old, and probably because I read it when I was 10 and he just seemed so much older than me. But now looking back on it, I think he was probably like 12. And that would track because Cabin's boys would have been like 10 or 12 years old. So I think he's really young. And so he maybe, you know, doesn't always make the smartest decisions, but he's a great character. He has a lot of character, and he's the one who got this whole thing going. So love Jim. He does a great job. None of the characters feel like the same people. You know, they all feel very distinct and very well-rounded. Okay, so we have Mr. Trelawney, and I don't think he's anybody's favorite character. He's not the smartest. He talks a lot. Like they already say that, you know, he's got loose lips, basically. I don't know. He doesn't have like the best character, but he does come around. You know, he admits to his mistakes and to the ways that he's wronged other people. He admits to those, and then he tries to do right by everyone. So we like Mr. Trelawney. Dr. Livesey is fantastic. Yeah, really, really great. Which I was struck this time reading it, how authoritative he is, which I've probably noticed every other time, but I'm so used to the Treasure Planet version of him, where he's just like a bumbling fool. I think they kind of combined Dr. Livesey and Mr. Trelawney into one, and so they did like the bumbling idiot Trelawney and then the doctor part of Livesey. There was no like authority there, whereas in the book, Dr. Livesey is very authoritative. Like he stands up to the captain, who's not the captain. What's his name? They call him the captain the whole time. That's all that I can think of now. Billy Bones. He stands up to Billy Bones. Like he's not going to be cowed by him. He is a gentleman. He is high class. He is a doctor. He deserves respect, and he's going to have that respect. And he's not going to cow to some seaman who, you know, has everybody else jumping to his orders and, you know, scared to cross him. Dr. Livesey doesn't care. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. So I don't know, I was struck by that this time. He can take charge when he needs to. Even like him standing up to all of the pirates, he's not gonna be afraid of them. He's gonna do what has to be done. So I think he's very well done also. He definitely feels like his own character. And he's one of my favorites too. I really love Dr. Livesey. He's great. The captain is great also, not the captain Billy Bones, but like the captain of the ship, Captain Smollett. But we don't really see a whole lot of Captain Smollett. I mean, he does stand up for himself in the very beginning, saying, you know, like, nobody's telling me what's going on. The crew knows more than I do, and I didn't get to pick my own men. So some of these things need to change, and I have a bad feeling about this. So, I mean, you know, good on him. So we like Smollett, but he's not like, I don't know. I don't think that you tend to like connect more with him, because you see a lot of him for a short while and then it's kind of like, whatever. But my favorite character, and probably a lot of people's favorite character, is definitely Long John Silver. I think that he's brilliantly done because he's a scoundrel. He's a pirate. It was, his plan for all of this. The mutiny was his plan. Maybe not in the way that it happened, but he was definitely going to double cross everybody. And he's been a buccaneer pirate his whole life. So he's not a stand-up fellow. He's not an honest fellow. He's not a moral fellow. And yet, everybody loves him. He has this charm about him that just makes everybody instantly trust him. And he commands respect. He has a very commanding presence. He's kind of a Dr. Livesey type, but in a very different way, because whereas Dr. Livesey seems harsher to me and like he's just absolutely not gonna put up with anything, Long John Silver knows when to back down and when to be submissive, so that things work out better in the long run. He's very smart. He thinks, 5 steps ahead and is always planning every angle. And so all of the characters love him also. That's part of his charm. He gets everybody to love him. And Stevenson writes him so well that the reader loves him also. Like, not to trust him. Stevenson sets that up at the beginning. Billy Bones tells Jim to watch out for a seafaring man with one leg. And so when Jim meets Long John, it's like, oh no, here's our seafaring man with one leg. But he instantly trusts him because he's not like Billy Bones's other connections. And he seems to be more of a stand-up guy, and he's got this nice charming way about him. And so Jim kind of forgets all of that. He's like, oh, surely this can't be who Billy Bones was talking about. Like, there's no way. So he trusts Silver. And there's a point even when Smollett is, I think it's Captain Smollett talking about it, but it could be, I think it's Captain Smollett. He's talking about, they already know that the men are going to mutiny and that there are a lot of them that they shouldn't trust. And they're going through the list of the people they can trust. And he thinks that Long John Silver is one of the ones that he can trust. So yeah, so it just shows you that he very quickly can get people on his side. The reader feels that also. I love Long John Silver. He has this charm about him. And that's why I wanted to talk about Treasure Planet also, because Treasure Planet has always been one of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's an old Disney movie that doesn't get enough attention, and it's starting to get more attention. I think I've heard a lot of people saying that, it doesn't get enough attention, and so now it's starting to, be more well known. But definitely check it out because it is so, so very good. Obviously, Disney took a lot of creative liberties with it. For one thing, it's sci-fi, happens out in space. But some of the characters are changed. Like I already talked about Dr. Livesey and how he's not all the same. Mr. Arrow is changed for the better, I think. I like Mr. Arrow a lot in Treasure Planet, whereas in Treasure Island, nobody is sad to see him go. The captain's changed a little bit, but not a ton, honestly. I think they did a really good job with the captain. I think they made a good choice. I mean, there's the obvious gender swap where now it's a female captain and she's a lot more sassy than Captain Smollett in the book, but I love her. Jim is aged up, so he's a lot older, and in the book, he's, very quiet, well-disciplined kid. Maybe not quiet, but he's well-disciplined for the most part. Whereas in the movie, he's this hooligan. And that's how he gets into this mess, is that he's just always causing trouble, always getting in trouble. So that's different. The most consistent character is Long John Silver. He still has that same charm in Treasure Planet, and you know that you shouldn't trust him, but you really want to, and he just, I don't know, you just end up loving him. Everybody ends up loving him. So I think that he was really, really well done in the movie. The animators, the artists, they captured him perfectly. The storyboarders and the writers, they captured him perfectly. And the voice actor did a wonderful job with him. So just all around, Silver is the best part of that movie. And he's the best part of the book also, in my opinion. If they had changed Silver, the movie wouldn't be any good. He had to be how he was. And that's not to say that it wasn't beautifully done, and the scores, oh my gosh, the music, I love the music and I love the songs, and I love the art also. That's one of my favorite things about it, is the art. But as far as the story goes, if they had changed Silver, it wouldn't have worked. So he had to be like that. I'm going to end it there. If you stuck around, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a big thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Yeah, why not just go ahead and subscribe for more reviews like this one and more bookish videos in the future. Share it with your friends. That would be great too. I'd really appreciate that. Let me know, have you read Treasure Island? Have you read any Stevenson? What are your thoughts? Are you on my side, or are you on the side of my friend where you think that Stevenson is just not worth it? You can let me know. I'll definitely disagree with you and I'll be a little bit hurt, but you can let me know down in the comments and I'll just end it here. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.